Last week, Robert Gentile, a mobster known for being tied to the infamous Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, died at the age of 85 after a stroke. But the FBI is still offering a $10 million reward for anyone who might have information about the lost art. Gentile was the last surviving person of interest connected to the heist. I caught up with a former member of the Boston Globe Spotlight team, Stephen Kurkjian, who wrote the book, Master Thieves, the Boston Gangsters Who Pulled Off the World's Greatest Art Heist, about why this case still garners so much interest decades later and what should happen now. I just want to jump right in because it was big news last week when mobster Robert Gentile, who had always been tied to the infamous Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, died at the age of 85 after suffering a stroke. And I know you interviewed him many times. Do you believe he was involved in that heist?
You know, I go by what they tell me and what I can prove on paper, and I don't know. I had his lawyer, Ryan McGuigan, gave me access to him when he got back from serving 18 months, 2 years in jail. Early 2014, I sat down for 5 hours of interviews with him. He denied everything. But at the last minute, he asked me to shut off my tape recorder and said to me, what do I get out of this? And so I thought, he's giving me an opening here. And I said, he doesn't, he knows I'm an author. I mean, he knows I don't have any money as a writer. I can't pay him for his interview. So what is he saying? And I'm thinking he's saying that he wants to talk, but wants to profit from it. So I said, let me throw away my contract with my publisher, and you and I will do a book, Mr. Gentile. But you have to tell me everything. Enough with this. You don't know anything. They set you up. You have only a distant relationship with the bad guys. I want to know exactly when you got the paintings, what you did with the paintings, where are they now? You tell me that, we put it in the paper, or we put it in a book, and we've got a bestseller, and you've got your pot of cash. And he thought about it. For 10 seconds, he thought about it, and then he looked up with those dark eyes of his, and he said, no, it's not right. I don't have anything. I don't know anything. They set me up, and that was it.
So he clearly didn't have the goods. And I know you know this case intimately because you wrote the definitive book, Master Thieves, the Boston Gangsters Who Pulled Off the World's Greatest Art Heist. Why do you think the FBI has hit nothing but roadblocks, even offering the $10 million reward?
You know, it's a remarkable question. Here, the museum is offering $10 million reward for the return of the paintings or the artwork, the 13 pieces. And the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office says we won't prosecute you. Yet that's been on the table for probably 10 years, and it hasn't gotten them any eureka, any surprise development. So thought about that, and as I was writing my book, I said, how do you pierce this veil? How do you get to it?
Because you would think at this point, if those paintings were somewhere in New England, in an attic or a barn, or there's some grandchild of some thief, they would want to come forward for that money. But now your idea is maybe turning to social media is the answer, and that could help solve this case.
Because I think what locks those grandchildren or those families or those associates who may know something, I don't think anyone really knows exactly where, but they know pieces of the puzzle. And those pieces have to be provided to the authorities. And how to get those people to open up, I think still in those families, in those neighborhoods where bad guys predominated back in the 80s and early 90s, it's all changed. But those people and those families have to be convinced to trust the authorities and the museum to do the right thing here. And how do you get people to believe that the code of omerta is not in place anymore, that we live in a new Boston, is have someone of trust, of credibility in all the segments of society, the good guy world and the not so good guy world. Have them believe it. And the kinds of people I've always thought was Cardinal O'Malley, Sean O'Malley, who's a trusted figure in all elements of society. And back until he went to Washington, but I'm sure he'd come back for this, is Mayor Walsh. Why I pick him and not another politician, it's because he's a recovering alcoholic. And I think that the core here is an issue of redemption. It's getting these paintings, these pieces of art back on the wall, and to return what Mrs. Gardner's motive was of putting them on the wall.
Right.
She spent her fortune and her husband's fortune to fill that museum with the most precious and important paintings. Why? Because she wanted to inspire us.
Yeah, and she wanted the people of Boston to have access to viewing that art, not just the elite classes.
The FBI has worked valiantly
They have.
in the case. The museum's the security director, Anthony Amori, has worked tirelessly on the case. Hearts have been broken along in their trustees and their executives by this loss. I think how to turn it around is to reach out to Boston's better angels. I remember back in 2018 when Tom Brady's Super Bowl T-shirt was stolen from the locker room. And, there were torchlight parades in some neighborhoods of Boston looking for Tom's jersey, okay? Well, this is the artwork of the ages. And it belongs to us. And it belongs to my family and your family and all of our families. We don't know who the next Michelangelo is. We don't know if he or she is coming from the higher levels of society or the people in poverty, someone in poverty. That's a gift of art. And to be inspired by these paintings that were taken from us is, I think, a true goal that all Boston would share.
Well, there are a lot of internet sleuths out there, so let's hope that they're going to get on it.
It worked with the ALS research, the Ice Bucket Challenge in 2014. The late Pete Frates of Boston College baseball came down with that dreaded illness, and he reached out to his community, and it raised in the summer of 2014. I kept track of this because I was writing my book that summer. It raised $80 million in 2 months. Previously, the previous year was only $2 million. Those months, because of the social media, because of the good that was at the core of this mission, to raise money for this dreaded disease. And I think that there's a message here for us here in this dreaded mission, which is getting these paintings back.
Crowdsourcing, the answer to Boston's oldest mystery now. Stephen Kurkjian from the Boston Globe, and we thank you so much for speaking with us today, and we know you'll stay on the case, and let's hope those paintings are found.
From your lips to God's ear, Paula, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.